crisis?
Absolutely, it's an epidemic crisis. How can you not have an epidemic crisis when you have innocent people losing their lives on a consistent basis? I mean, that is what we constitute an epidemic crisis.
So in other words, there are examples of when the federal government intercedes and imposes their authority on local jurisdictions if we as a society believe that it's important enough.
Absolutely.
And that this issue, you feel, as a society, we have not come to a consensus yet that it's important enough.
Absolutely. But you know why? Because in those other cases, that happened when, forgive me for saying, but when the epidemic started affecting white people. When crack cocaine reached out into the suburbs, when gun violence started affecting white homes, that's when, okay, it's
That's interesting because in the NFL, the protests, which, Kaepernick's been on the record and many have been on the record, look, this is a domestic sporting event. We didn't interject politics into it. National anthem. The league did that in a show of patriotism. So since we're interjecting, it's not like an international event where we're showing one face as a nation.
Right.
So we're going to protest a domestic issue.
Sure.
And the reason that actually might have traction is because then that does start to affect everybody's lives, right? Oh, man, I just want to watch a football game and hear politics are coming into my world.
I don't want to hear about the innocent minorities who lost their lives along the way to make it into the people who didn't make it to see the football season opening. I'm sure Philando Castile and I'm sure that Alton Sterling, I'm sure they were football fans. I'm sure they would have loved to see some games.
Freddie Gray.
Absolutely.
On and on.
And I don't think that for us to say it's not time for us to deal with this, and we don't want to think about this right now. I mean, how could you say that about the loss of life?
Well, this is one of the things that you're focused on. My question to you is, would it be the only thing? And before you answer, hear where I'm coming from with this. The actions of brutality on the part of some police officers is something that cannot be ignored against minorities. There is no doubt about that. But we've also got a situation where there are a lot of black lives that are being lost, period. Chicago, as well as various other cities in this country. So as an artist, when you focus on some of the problems ailing our community, is this your focus, or are you focusing on all of that? Not just what happens to us, but what we're also doing to each other from time to time.
Well, absolutely. I do believe that, unity is necessary. I do believe that. But also you cannot use excuses like that to give people an out as to how they cannot correct themselves, because there's negatives everywhere in our nation. And when they use the term black on black crime, I actually heard this right here on ESPN. When they use the term black on black crime, they completely take away the notion of white people who kill white people. There's no white on white.
Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, when we did the show in Chicago, he said whites are killing whites, Latinos are killing Latinos.
Absolutely.
It's neighbor on neighbor, so why are you focusing on black on black?
There's no white on white crime. There's no brown on brown crime. It's only black on black crime. So why are we focusing so much on that and not focusing on the violence that who proceeds to exist in America?
I totally agree with you, but let me tell you why I asked that question. Because I often say to a lot of white folks that I work with, it's a numbers game too. When I'm on my radio show, for example, it's a numbers game. White folks make up 66% of the population. The Latino folks make up 17% of the population. The voting bloc that they have makes up about 27% of the population. If black folks are at 13% of the population, then because of the low number that we are,
right,
it profoundly affects us more so than it may affect other communities because our numbers are dwindling. That's my argument. What's yours?
I mean, I think that numbers definitely have something to do with it.